Hey guys, I'm up here at the Dojang doing some repairs, and while I was doing some repairs, I was kind of half watching, half listening to a video by Hard to Hurt. Good channel, unless you're under the age of like 13. There's a little bit of language there, but good self-defense information, kind of fun to watch. Anyway, I was watching a video on how to choose a martial arts school, and I was like, okay, this is a good video. So what he says is, if you've never done martial arts before, go to the place that's closest to your home that you enjoy going to, okay? And he has some other pro quos in there. You know, if you're a professional fighter, that's a different deal. But I wanted to respond to that just a little bit, because there's one thing that happens a lot in martial arts, and I want you guys to be super careful about this, okay? Because you can end up in kind of a bad situation. So there's such a thing as a martial cult, okay? If you follow McDojo Life, or if you've seen any of their videos, they have a lot of cool stuff where they kind of expose those people who are McDojos, okay? So I wanted to go over a couple of things. I'm not going to address McDojo necessarily, but I do want to address martial cults, okay? Martial arts that are more religious to a point that they cause people to do silly things, okay? And silly is a nice way to put it. So anyway, so I wanted to kind of give you a couple of points to look for. If you're looking for a dojang, you're looking for a place to train, then keep your eyes out for these things, okay? So first thing, like my biggest warning sign is if I walk into a training facility and there's like a massive shrine with like a picture of the current instructor. Now a lot of like Confucian ideas are in, especially like the Japanese martial arts, and so you'll see like shrines to some of the previous instructors, or like, you know, Musashi, or one of the older guys, you know, and you'll kind of see like pictures of them, or like a lineage character on the wall, where you've got like, you know, the great grandmaster and then the next grandmaster and then you know, all that stuff. Sometimes those schools are okay, but when you walk in and like the first thing you see, the biggest thing you see is like a picture of the instructor, and he's all like posed and trying to look cool, okay? And there's flowers and there's candles and all that stuff. Like that is a sign that whoa, you need to back out of there, because that particular instructor is all about self-worship. They don't care whether their stuff is applicable as long as it makes them look good. And they don't care if it makes you look bad as long as it makes them look good. So things like injuries and poor technique and I guess worship is another way to put it, of themselves, is going to be pretty prominent in that place. So number two thing to look for is there's like a super requirement that you can't tell anybody else about what's going on at this school. That is a huge red flag. So if you walk in and they're like, okay, you know, you've signed the release waiver, and now you can't tell anybody else about what we do here, nothing leaves this dojo or whatever, yeah, just go away, just leave. You know, I know that there's some people that use some of that as like a, hey, I want to pull you guys in and try to get you guys to invest in what I'm doing here because it's the secret techniques, right? Okay, that's fine, sure. If they want to use that, go train somewhere else. I think that's a bad idea. I think that ties back into the self-worship type thing, but it's also it lends itself to that particular school ending up with lawsuits and things because they feel protected, so they can do things that they shouldn't be doing. So if they tell you you can't tell anybody else about what you're doing there, you need to leave. You need to go find somewhere else to be. Okay. Number three, like super elaborate rituals. And when I say rituals, I don't mean, you know, like we're sacrificing animals or something crazy like that, but like you have to come in, you have to take your shoes off and put them in just this specific way, and you have to, like, you know, do this body position while you're doing this, and your belt never needs to, if your belt ever touches the floor, you have to do like this washing ritual, or you know, and then when you come onto the mat, you have to bow 6 times and kneel and do 12 breaths and all this stuff. Like, if it's that detailed, this is a martial cult. Now, they may have good martial arts. I don't know. I don't care. They're leading you down a really weird moral path. Now, they may have some great stuff to teach, but they are more about the ritual and more about the investment of the students in their school and in their belief system than they are in good martial arts. Am I saying that as a martial arts instructor, you can't tell people what you believe? No, I think that that's absolutely one of the great things about traditional martial arts. You should be teaching your students what you believe. We have the tenets of Taekwondo. There are the values, the Bushido code values that you have in karate. There's values in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu system that are, I don't know what they call them, but they have them. So there are a lot of arts that have different value systems, and those are okay as long as it's not super like a religious deal, because that becomes a martial cult, and you can end up slipping down some pretty bad slopes to the point that you've got people who are followers of you rather than learners and developers of the system. And if you as an instructor, if you're an instructor and you're watching this, if you as an instructor can't handle questions from your students, you shouldn't be instructing. I'm just going to say that. That's probably controversial, but if your student can't come up and say, "Hey, I don't feel like this technique works well for me," and you can't be like, "Okay, well, let's see if we can make it work for your body," or "I understand your problem, let's deal with why it's not working," then you shouldn't be an instructor. You don't know your system well enough. Okay, sorry, jumping past that. The fourth thing, we're on 4? I think we're on 4. The fourth thing that you should be looking out for is you're not allowed to train at any other school, okay? This kind of ties back to like the secret techniques and all that stuff, but not being allowed to train at any other school means that instructor is probably afraid of what you're gonna learn. Now, that's not always true. Some instructors, in fact, I will even encourage you, if you come to my school and you say, okay, I want to train with you, and I want to train over here, and I want to train over there, and I've just started at this school, and I'm also training with you, I'm probably going to say, hey, why don't you pick one and stick with it for a little while, especially if you're brand new to the arts, right? If you've been watching Cobra Kai and you want to go train in all the arts and be an amazing martial artist, okay, that's fine, but you need to stick with one for a while, okay? And that's because your focus is going to be too split, and you may even overwork your body and cause overwork injuries, and that's not something that I want you to do. So if you're already training at like 2 other schools, right, I'm going to tell you, hey, you need to go, maybe pick one of those for a while. That's different than saying once you train in this school, you can only train in this school and never train anywhere else. That's a different mentality, okay? That is an ownership mentality where that instructor believes that he owns you as a student, and that is not only wrong morally, it's dangerous, because then they believe they can do with you whatever they want to. Okay, so those are 4 basic things that I think you should look out for when you're looking for a martial arts school. If you've never been to a martial arts school, or maybe you're taking your kid to a martial arts school and you're like, yeah, I want to go find them a place to train because martial arts is cool and I want them to learn the discipline and the integrity and all that cool stuff. Just keep your eyes out for those things, because you don't want to end up in a martial cult. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Hope it was informative, and keep training, keep growing. We'll see you around.